This is Aromie here. Welcome back to our life, Baxter DLC. We're here waiting on our food that we ordered for bowling. After playing bowling, it was drowned out by the surrounding clamor. Balls crashing into pins, and the shouts of victory and defeat made for an interesting ambiance. We've got a good set here. Jude and Grant are engaged. Me and Randy are dating. Michiko and Baxter are Should have shut the fuck up, Terry. Terry halted there. His mouth had been moving faster than his mind. It had not reached its logical conclusion before he'd begun to ramble. Apparently, he'd momentarily forgotten that things were strained between you and Baxter. Awkward exes? Oh, you've heard about that.
Yep.
Why would they not? They're my friends. Baxter began fiddling with the paper napkin in front of him. His eyes narrowed and he tried to graciously move past a touch of embarrassment.
Well,
Can't blame anyone for talking about it. That's fair. However, since everyone is aware of the story, I believe I'll go hide in shame for the next several days. He adjusted flippantly at the pair of couples, dropping the napkin. Scott's brows lifted. Are you serious right now?
no.
No, Scott, I'm not. It's only wishful thinking.
Oh.
The conversation grew quiet after that. Terry had managed to score some unintentional retribution after Baxter put his dancing foot in his mouth about Terry's longtime crush on Randy. But the awkwardness was overcome once the food came out. Everyone dug in right away except for Baxter. He took the time to meticulously cut his veggie burger with a plastic fork and ate the bite-sized pieces with the fork. The action garnered a number of laughs. Baxter paid it no mind and enjoyed his meal. Partway through lunch, Mr. Ward ever so casually took the lead in conversation. Nothing more than table chatter, of course. So what are we intending on doing after we finish eating? Going to the craft store. Jude grabbed a few tortilla chips and bit into them with a loud crunch. Humming, Baxter rested his chin on the palm of his hand. I've been giving it some thought, and I believe you may not have to. If you know what you want for the centerpieces, I could pick up the supplies and drop them off at your house later today. You could.
Absolutely.
That's not a problem.
Me too.
Right, I'll go with them to help. Yeah, me three.
In that case,
I can see where this is going. The two of you can go home and relax, and we can do the pesky shopping. The two of you are more likely worn down than you've registered. My suggestion is that you should take as many breaks as you can sneak in before the wedding. As slick as ever. You didn't want to crowd their house while they were resting, you'd have to go too. Yeah, craft shopping could be fun, why not? I'll come with you. I can help. Oh, well, there you have
Would
it.
that be alright?
That would be great, actually, don't you think? Jude folded his arms and surveyed the sight in front of him. His friends, family, and the wedding planner were all watching him optimistically. Finally, he cracked a smile. Yeah, thanks.
good.
Fantastic. Then there's little else to worry about until we return with your centerpiece material. Anything else, Scott? Oh, I'm not sure. What kind of wiggle room do we have left on the schedule? There's certainly space for a few things. Plenty of elements that can be added with minimal effort will have a big impact on your experience. For example, you could plan to have a first dance, or have multiple with a parent, guardian, or another important figure in your life. Rather conveniently for the line of work I'm in, I used to ballroom dance competitively.
I can do that.
So if either of you need lessons or wish to practice, I can provide that. It wouldn't be an additional charge, of course. My services are all-inclusive. Your attention snapped in his direction. Why did he word that like he was retired? You couldn't imagine a world where Baxter didn't dance anymore. Competitive ballroom dancing. You sure you're a regular dude? Positive. Does that sound like something either of you would be interested in? The couple share a long, silent stare. Scott bashfully rubbed the back of his neck and returned his attention to the conversation.
I don't know.
We need to think about that one some more, I think. Good call.
I get it.
That's fair. Let me know when you've come to the decision. Baxter hummed quietly to himself, musing over his next thought. He lifted his head. At this point, he wasn't bothered to hide that he had returned to planner mode. Jude, you mentioned that you've thrown parties before, correct? Uh-huh. One for my sisters, parents, cousins sometimes. Scott nodded proudly while Jude only shrugged in response. His lips curled bashfully. I've got a big family. But what about yourself? Who throws parties for themselves? You are, right now, actually. Oh, fine. Yeah. Jude scratched behind his ear, reassessing the conversation. Baxter smiled whatever that word is. Perhaps you're viewing this too much as a party for some undefined mass, and the demands of social pressure and such. And Scott, you're seeing it purely as there for the guests to judge, when in reality, the wedding is a day solely for you and your husband. My next recommendation is that you do nothing more for the wedding unless it is truly going to improve your own memories of the event. That You're right.
I'm sorry.
Jude, I'm sorry for making both of us do so much so fast. It sucked. Hey, it wasn't that bad. Jude took Scott's hand and held it between his own. He wore an easy smile and lightly brushed his thumb across his fiance's skin. If you still want the centerpieces, we should do it. I do. I kind of have a vision for the event. Jude's head fell back and he let out an affectionate laugh at that admission. You do, huh? Who knew you'd get a kick out of designing venue spaces? Next birthday, you're on deck for decorations.
That'd be cool.
Jude gave his fiancée a light squeeze and then returned to the main conversation. Scott shifted his attention to Baxter in turn. I'll text you the shopping list.
That's wonderful.
And Scott glanced at Jude and began chewing at the inside of his cheek. He didn't even have to say it. Clearly he had one more idea. What? I thought of something else recently. Remember that year you rented a limo for your twin sisters on their 18th birthday? Sure.
Well...
There's sort of a thing where people getting married arrive and leave in fancy cars. So I was thinking, what if we do that for our wedding too? Something like a classic Corvette, maybe. Jude's eyes widened in awe. That suggestion hit the nail on his curly head.
Seriously?
That. I want to do that. I'll call around and get it sorted today. Hell yeah.
My pleasure.
The couple beamed at each other. Jude gently cupped the side of his fiance's face and Scott leaned into the touch. Thank you for thinking of that. You guys are so cute. Are you taking notes, Baxter? Just saying. You probably could have thought of it yourself if I hadn't given you 1,000 other things to do or worry about. I doubt it. I'm a shitty wedding planner. Besides, sounds to me like you're talking about yourself. I am.
Mm-hmm.
You've been so busy that you haven't even told Baxter about something important we've still got to schedule for the ceremony. Is it suits? Son, Scott searched for a shred of what Jude was talking about. Nothing could be grasped in his panic state. Jude decided to let him off the hook. We want to have a candle lighting ritual.
Perfect.
Oh, that's a delightful idea. We already have the candle for it. We just gotta make sure it doesn't get skipped. That was something we wanted for the both of us.
That's true.
Yeah, Jude's right on all accounts. I can't believe I forgot that. Could you make sure the officiator doesn't forget? Absolutely, that's what I'm here for. And so y'all finally finished the day's intended discussion in a far livelier atmosphere than how it was at the office. Both Jude and Scott had an easier time with the process and vocalizing their thoughts when they were shooting the breeze than they did under a more professional interview. Baxter's improved party planning skills were impressive. He'd grown leaps and bounds. Even Terry and Miranda were pleased at how this meeting went. Against all odds, Baxter proved within a matter of days that he was someone they could rely on for this wedding. Once the centerpiece details were exchanged, the group split into teams. Jude and Scott set off for home, and the remaining 4 of you hit the road to the craft store. Although technically you all could have squeezed into Terry's van, Baxter unlocked his car with a beep. After confirming the location you were going to, he followed behind in his own vehicle. Once you had arrived, you waited near the front of the craft store. Baxter must have gotten stuck at a light, since it took another few minutes for him to show up. He gave a jaunty wave and sped walked over.
Hello.
I see you've gotten here safely. Pleasantries were had and the gang pressed onward. Miranda broke away from the group with a clear mission in mind. She rolled an orange cart enthusiastically. Now you're ready to go. Baxter grinned at her in return, but gave the line of carts a glance. We should take another. One cart likely won't be enough.
Agreed.
Good call. You shrugged his shoulders and fetched a second cart. Every single candidate was the same sun-faded plastic. You took the nearest option. Excellent, let's proceed. Miranda led the way into the heart of the store, both carts clattering along on old squeaky wheels. She methodically started at the passing aisles.
What?
Hey, Randy knows, but I've got to warn the rest of you. There's an all-hands-on-deck kind of meeting this evening at work, so I can't make any of this stuff. After the drop-off, I'm gone. Terry faced you with a sheepish expression, not entirely apologetic. You're gonna have to take my place in the crafting circle, Michiko. You nodded along, not surprised. People still had jobs even before a wedding. You couldn't all be the professional planners. Baxter seeming to have the life. That's totally fine. I appreciate both of you being here and helping as much as you have. Don't say this around Jude or Scott, but I've been nervous they were going to be disappointed by their own wedding. She sighed and drooped down against her cart, her head almost sticking into the front basket. I know they would have been if it was only the two of them doing it. She straightened herself and offered a smile. First softly at Terry and then at you with a bright gratitude. I'm lucky I had reinforcements to call. Though when she turned to Baxter, she demurred.
Thank you.
You've been great to have on her side too, Baxter. Thanks for accepting the job. You didn't have to. Most planners wouldn't.
Gladly.
I do this gladly. Everyone has placed a lot of faith in me, and I want to honor that. Baxter fidgeted with his collar as Miranda kept her soft eyes on him. Terry chuckled. You're so sweet, Randy. Of course we're helping you. And we should get back to doing that. Time's a-wasting. Oh yeah, sorry. Browsing resumed and you began checking off the supply list God sent. The collection had you going all throughout the building, some items needing a real hunt. This color didn't matter more for the candles, because I'm only finding white candles and coconut.
Maybe?
Jude likes coconut at least, but I don't think that'd fit a formal wedding. Terry, you're in the beach theme section? Pointing to the sign plastering on the shelf above him, you tried not to laugh. Terry's eyes widened at the obvious. That explains the sea breeze and pineapple options. I didn't notice either. Let's move down. Baxter nodded approvingly. Along the way, you spotted a floral section and a summer section too. Was summer really that different from beach? Maybe in other places in Cali, they were one and the same. But since the white candles of the proper variety were secured, the supply team moved on to the next items. Now, having a better sense of how the store was laid out, it went quicker. After a decent-sized pile had accumulated in both carts, Baxter spoke up. Found the more unique bits and bobs. If you don't mind, I'd like to leave the last of it in your capable hands. I think it'd be best if I could look into the rental cars before it gets too late.
Yeah.
Right, of course. No worries, we got it. I met with your agreement as well. Terry ushered Baxter away with shooing motions. A car was more important than an extra body to throw fake flowers in a
Very
cart.
well.
Thanks, I'll be in touch soon. His departure was closely watched by the three of you. Miranda and Terry awkwardly waved him off, neither full of their usual cheer. Silently, the gang pressed on, scooting carts across the white linoleum tiles. Your friends were both still quiet. Neither knew how to act with Baxter. On one hand, he was friendly and had been a huge help for Miranda's family. On the other, more frustrating hand, the last time you had opened up and let yourself care about him, he'd really hurt you. Can you not remind me? Baxter tried to erase himself completely, to scrub away the permanent ink he'd left in your memories. It hadn't worked. It couldn't work. Not for you and not for anyone else he had met that summer. What happened between you continued to linger. It kept mattering, exactly as Baxter never wanted it to.
Is that all right?
Michu, have you been okay working with this? With him? I want to cry all the time. What do you mean? I'm alright, and it's okay if you like him. I'm not sure. I think he's changed. It's fine. I'm not upset with him anymore. Being near him is hard. I'm scared I'll get sucked in again, only to be left behind. It doesn't help that sometimes things are actually good between us. Miranda and Terry shared a look. It was a silent conversation where you could only guess what was being said. I get it. Baxter's not Mr. Ideal, no matter how easy it is to think so. Look at the suit. Look at the fancy suit he's got. Look at that poise. Very convincing. I'm already fooled, I think. No matter what, we're your friends. Hear, hear. But it was time to refocus on the task ahead. Terry didn't have many minutes to spare. You had to hurry. What else did you need to find again? You rushed up and down the entire store, the carts rapidly filling. Meanwhile, Baxter hung out on a bench at the front with his phone glued to his ear. He fluttered the fingers of his free hand whenever he noticed your group shooting past. He spied more flowers and booked it. When each decoration on the list was added to the masses, you approached Baxter. His phone was still in his grip, but he was no longer on a call.
How are you?
Hello. Were you able to find everything? He inspected the carts, trying to visually sort through the chaotic lumps of stuff. Oh. Are we just gonna like jab memories at each other every so often right now? He gestured at your cart, which was indeed bereft of a fountain. His lips twisted wryly. What an unfortunate loss. You're assured that was an entirely sincere and no way sarcastic expression of remorse. My task is done too. I found a car that is to the couple's taste. I texted it to them and got approval to rent it for the day. Cool. I was even able to do so legally this time. His tone was amusingly flippant. Oh yeah, during that summer, he had pulled some shenanigans to get his car. Brandon and Terry, however, stared at him concerned. Don't worry, it's an inside joke. What are we? A smile pulled at your lips. You decide not to further explain further either. Miranda probably wouldn't imagine too extreme of illegal scenarios. Okay. Come on, let's pay for this haul. It's gonna take a while to ring up. The rest of the gang agreed, and you and Miranda drove your carts through a blessedly empty checkout line. After several minutes of listening to the beeping of items getting scanned, Miranda swiped her card. It was done. As you headed to the parking lot, Miranda checked her phone and frowned at the time. you yourself did a double take at how long the shopping had taken. Not again. The craft store was dangerous. And Miranda, Terry has to go to work now. But this is where we're going to end today's episode off. I hate that we both, there's obvious tension. Clearly. We both, well, I don't. He wants to forget everything. I don't want to forget everything. But he's constantly trying to ignore everything, pretending nothing happened, yet brings it up anyway. Which hurts. Because, what do you want? Do you want to remember it or do you not? Whatever, man. Anyway, this is where we're going to wrap up for today's episode off. Stay beautiful, and I'll see you guys in the next one.